Teen Book Talk with Stacey at the Goffstown Public Library, and I am Stacey, the Teen Services Library Assistant. Well, lately my book talks have centered around themes like the book cover challenge or graphic novels, the book series, or comedy and high school drama. Yes, this is a shameless plug for all my past book talks, so if you've missed any of them, you can watch them right here on Goffstown Public Library's YouTube channel, so go back and check them out. But today, I do not have an overarching theme. Instead, I just picked books that I thought you should know about. So my first book is the graphic novel. I'm finding myself drawn more and more to the graphic novel, illustrations that provide extra storytelling and really give life to words on the page. So without further ado, book number one. So I bring you Dragon Hoops by Gene Luen Yang. Now look at this cover. It doesn't hold anything back, right? The solid black lines, slightly curved, sitting atop bright orange, and then some deeper orange stippling that brings on some texture. You can tell this book is all about basketball. This is the real life telling of the 𝑫𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂𝒂 decades in the making to winning the California State Championship. The Dragons are coached by Lou Richie, who himself was a player 25 years prior. Okay, as you start reading this though, you realize that there are actually multiple storylines. So while the readers are cheering on the O'Dowd Dragons, they're actually learning some basketball history, starting all the way back to its inception by a physical education teacher named James Naismith. It includes also some more modern NBA stars of today. And that is not all, because another storyline is that it's an autobiography. See, our author, Gene Yang, who writes graphic novels and comic books, is also a computer science teacher at the Bishop O'Dowd High School. So we get that far. The funny thing is, though, he is not a sports guy. Actually, he comes out and says that he doesn't like sports at all. Which makes this kind of thrilling. Like, why would he even want to write a pretty thick graphic novel about basketball? And so I wanted to just read the beginning for you, because we find out a little bit about how he feels about sports, which I think is kind of fun. So let me just hold this up. Here we go. Can you see those right there? All right, so I'm just gonna read this real quick right here. I've hated sports ever since I was a little kid. Especially basketball. Games usually started off well enough. Wow, a dragonfly. We can guess who that is, right? That's Gene looking up in the air. But inevitably, Gene heads up. Jam! Ow! And the pain wouldn't be limited to my fingers. You gotta learn how to handle the bullet pass stick. My junior high nickname. I used to be really, really skinny. What can I say? I'm just not a sports kind of guy. I'm a story kind of guy, comic book stories specifically. With stories, I know what I'm going to get. Heroes being heroic, villains being villainous, good triumphing in the end, and no jammed fingers along the way. As we follow the Dragons basketball team during monstrous wins and crushing losses, we also discover how a book lover, sports hater, becomes intrigued by the thrilling and at times tumultuous world of basketball. The illustrations bring on an extra dimension to the story. The cartoony illustrations help soften and lighten a little bit some of the more difficult themes like racism, prejudice, and sexism. Now, that's not to say it diminishes them in any way. The exaggerated characters actually help to bring those things more to the forefront in a thought-provoking way. And the muted colors help establish in the timeline when we are looking at flashbacks to a prior time in basketball history. I really think you should take a look at Dragon Hoops today. Okay, so now book number 2, and I'm gonna put this out there that Here we are in May of 2020. This book that I'm going to talk about real quick right now might be a little tough for some to read. So I'm going to put that out there. Maybe you want to revisit it at another time, but I still think it's a worthy book. And here we go. It is Wilder Girls by Rory Power. This is a gritty book about an all-girls boarding school that is located on an island off the coast of Maine, and the island is overtaken by a plague called the Tox. Now, 18 months has gone by when we open into this book, and the plague is still wreaking havoc. Many of the island inhabitants have lost their lives, including the staff at the school. But for those that have still survived, the plague has caused major deformities, things like second spines and glowing hair and clawed hands. The girls left in the school are told to stay put, to wait it out. There is a cure in the works. And whatever you do, don't break quarantine and don't go out into the woods. See, as much as the tox is also affecting humans, it is affecting the animals in the woods and causing deformities and transformations within them as well. Okay. While they are shut off from the mainland, supplies are brought in from the Navy. So we have three girls in this story. We have Hetty, we have 𝑏𝒏𝒄𝒏, and we have Reese. They are close friends, and ultimately 𝑏𝒏𝒄𝒏 goes missing, and Hetty will stop at nothing to find her, even if that means breaking quarantine. The majority of chapters are told in Hetty's perspective, but we do have a couple chapters that are told in 𝑏𝒏𝒄𝒏's perspective. And I think that helps us unravel some of the secrets and the mystery in the story about what the tox is and what is going on in this quarantined school. The genre of this book is thriller and suspense, though some actually call it horror, but it doesn't matter. It's definitely a band of survivors living in a pandemic situation. Okay, so for some of you that know me or have watched my book talks, you know that I am drawn to kind of the quirky, peculiar, humorous book. I don't know why, but I am. And so I stumbled upon this next book, our book number 3, the final one in our book talk. I stumbled upon it one day when I was in the library, in the teen room, and I was trying to make space for new books, and I was moving books around the shelf, and I came across a title called Boys Don't Knit in Public by T.S. Easton. Now, it grabbed me right off the bat because knitting. Now, I don't knit. I've tried many times. I have watched YouTube tutorials. I have watched creative book tutorials. I have had people actually sit there and try to help me. I don't know what it is. My hands, the needles, and the yarn just do not work together, and I make absolutely nothing. But I long to knit. And so I'm thinking maybe this book just is trying to fill a void inside me. I don't know. But let me talk about the book. All right, so we have our main character, Ben Fletcher. Ben Fletcher is a book nerd. He loves math. He loves following the rules. What he doesn't love is that he is frequently bullied. So he ends up sidling up to these 3 boys, Jaws, Jex, and Freddie, and they help fend off or keep away the bullies. And so Ben is very grateful for that. However, they aren't the greatest role models. They like to do things that are dangerous, crazy, and sometimes illegal. So unfortunately, Ben's friends convince him to steal booze from the local supermarket, and thus begins the Great Martini Heist. This sets in motion a series of unfortunate events. As the boys are fleeing the supermarket with their Martini Rosso in their backpacks, Ben hops up onto the sidewalk. He then is hit over the head by the crossing guard, Mrs. Frensham, and then he, with his bike, he bounces off of the fence. With his bike again, still bounces in front of a Porsche. The Porsche needs to swerve away so it doesn't hit him. The Porsche hits another car. Ben, still on his bike, swerves out of the way of the Porsche, also loops right back around. And who does he hit? Mrs. Frensham. And we have Martini Rosso everywhere, all over the ground. I forgot to mention, Mrs. Frensham is loved by everybody, but she hates bicyclists, cars, and pretty much Ben and his, what she calls, hooligans. So Ben realizes that a life of crime is really not for him. However, he does have to pay the price of all the damage that was done, and he is put on probation. Part of his probation is taking these extracurricular classes at the college, so he has to choose one. There's other things he has to do, but we're going to focus on the college class right now. And the reason he has to do this is because pretty much young men that are occupied after school will stay out of trouble, right? They won't offend again. So Ben signs up for a knitting class. And lo and behold, he has a knack for it. He's actually enjoying it. He's starting to get to know some of the people in the class, making some friendships. But the one thing Ben does not want to happen, he doesn't want anyone to know he's taking this knitting class. He doesn't want his friends to know. He doesn't want the bullies to know. And he doesn't want his dad, who is sports obsessed, to know. Ben doesn't like sports. So now poor straight-laced Ben, who is on probation for a crime that he really didn't want to do, but now he's also living a lie. As each person that talks to him about what classes he's doing, he has to lie to them about, and that just perpetuates more unfortunate events. This story is laugh out loud funny, and the great takeaway in this book is if you find a hobby that you are passionate about, that you love, and you have a knack for, that your gender should have no say in it. So there you have it. Those are our 3 titles in our book talk today. I loved sharing them with you. Hey, if you have a book that you're reading that you think everyone else should read, why don't you share it? You can share it in our comments below this video. You can share it on the Facebook page, our teen Facebook page, or even our Instagram. And if you have read any of the books that I've book talked about or the ones today, I'd love to hear that from you as well. So, of course, if you want to continue getting this great content, our book talks, our life skills, teen cooking basics, even our do-it-yourself crafts, then you'll want to subscribe to Goffstown Public Library's YouTube channel. That way you're alerted right away when a new video goes up. So, until next time, happy reading.